Hi everybody, this is Rick with Props and Post Photobooth Services, and what I'm going to be doing is creating a series of videos on how I use Photoshop to do my work for the photo booth. Now, this is not necessarily the best way or the right way, but I think through this series of videos anybody should be able to watch it and build all their screens for their photo booths, and eventually we'll even get into how to do green screens. So what I wanted to do in this episode is to go over some of the concepts of Photoshop and how we can use them. So what we have here on the screen is just something I did really quick for my website, and in all honesty this took maybe 15 minutes to do. So once you get used to how Photoshop works, it's really quick and easy. So the first thing to understand with Photoshop is layers, and all they are, they're literally, if you took a picture and put it on a transparent piece of paper and laid it down, then you took another picture or another transparent piece with another picture and laid it over top of it, those are layers, and that's what we have here. So if you look over here on the right, these are all the different layers. So if you click on one and show the bounding box, this layer is only this one image, and so on and so forth. Now the great thing about Photoshop is you don't have to delete things. You can literally click on this eye here and make it invisible. It's still there, you just can't see it. This is a really valuable tool because you can actually build multiple screens and reuse certain items simply by making them visible or invisible. So let's deal with the first part, and I gotta find this one image, that one. Let's just pretend we don't like this image at all and I'll never use it again. Is you click on that and simply hit the delete key, and you can delete it and it will be gone. Again, before you go delete them, always consider just making it invisible because maybe later on you'll need it for something else. So let's just say I want to put a new image in here. Now this is where it's not necessarily super intuitive and maybe there's a better way, but what I found is to use the place command. So you click on File and then Place. Then come out here to where your images are. Um, okay, just for whatever, we will use this. So I pulled this in here. You can click and drag it. It's obviously too big. Now this is a little quirky thing about Photoshop. If you grab this, what they refer to as a handle, and click it, as you're dragging it, it may lose its proportions. If you hold the Shift key, it'll it'll force it into maintaining the proportions. Let go of the click, and there's your image resized. Now you can also, if you look at the cursor, you can see where it's kind of rounded like that. That allows you to rotate this image however you want it. Now if you drag it outside the boundaries that you have, you can see it'll cut it off. And that might be fine for whatever you're working on. But once you get the image the way you like it, go ahead and click the check mark, and there it is. Now the one thing I recommend is give this a name that's easily recognizable, because sometimes it might be a picture with like these two that make no sense. So in this case I would use wedding icon. And it's done. There you go. It was that quick, that easy. You now have a new layer with your new picture on it. And again, if you don't like it, uncheck it, it's invisible, put our other one back in place, good to go. The other concept to layering is the order in which they are. So you can see here my background is on the very bottom. That makes it the deepest layer, if you will. It's all the way in the back. If I were to take this and move it up, you can see it's now laying over those other images, and you really don't want that. So we can bring it back down here. We're good to go. It's really that simple. I think the last thing well, a few more things I want to share with you, is aligning items. So let's just say that this image, when I brought it in here, wasn't perfectly centered with the background. Of course, we all want things properly aligned. So what you want to do is center this picture with this background. So this layer's already selected. We want to hold the control key and click this. Now they're both selected. So now all we have to do is come down here under the align group, and we're going to use middle, and there you go. It aligned this picture with this background, and since the background is the dimensions of the whole canvas, it's perfect. Go back and only select this item and use your down cursor, and you're still perfectly centered on a background, and there you have it. It's really that easy. So now that we have this the way we want it, you'll need to save it, and I like to do two things. So first off, you simply go to File, Save As. Be really careful with excuse me, not doing save, because save is just going to overwrite what you have. Maybe you want it as something different. So the first thing I'm going to do saving is give it a new name, and I'm going to save it as a Photoshop file. So what this does is it lets me come in and re-edit it whenever I want. And just simply click Save. There's a little icon there. We're done. Now, maybe I want to use this as an image on my website. So now what I'm going to do is same thing, File, Save As, and now you click the Save As type background, and you have your options of serving it as a JPEG or a PNG. Really, these are the only two file types I use. All these others, well, and Photoshop PSD. But for my website and anything else, I'm typically going to go with a JPEG, give it a name, just leave it as it is, leave this as it is, and click OK, and your file's saved. So now, not only do you have your PSD file to come back and edit later, you have your JPEG that you can take and import it into anything you want. I mentioned the PNG. What the PNG does is, let's just say I only wanted to keep the props and pose part. So I wanted, now to select multiple things, I'm just holding the shift key down. Because let's just say I just want to use this over something else. So I don't want this background to show. Simply hide all these other items. Whoops. And you have this whole thing selected. You can come here and do a Save As, select PNG, and save it. This is really going to make a difference on your file size, but it also has an effect on the quality of the image. Probably none that anybody's going to notice, but I always go with smallest and interlaced and save it. So what this does for you is, this checkered background means it's transparent, and anything that you put this text over, you will see behind the letters. So this is literally transparent except for the letters. So that's the advantage of a PNG. Other things you can do while we're here is kind of get this in the center. You can come in here to image, resize, and change the canvas size. And again, the canvas is referring to this area back here. So if you were to make this 2 by 1 and say OK, well, that is what this is. So let's resize this to, let's literally bring it down to 2 by 1 and hit OK. It's going to give you a warning, and you can see the amount of the background image has changed. For something like this, I try to get the background as close to the size of whatever it is I'm saving as possible. So once you do this, you now have a great transparent image you can use. Now, one of the other things that I do, let me share this with you. Too much stuff on my computer. Is on my D drive. I have a folder called Photoshop Parts, and in here I have all these different items I've saved over time that I can literally just import into Photoshop. So all these different backgrounds, different parts I can pull in, rotate, frames, you name it. It just makes the work quick and easy. You know, for example, here's some fancy buttons. And we will get into buttons and things like that here in the next episode. But anyway, I just wanted to really quick share with you how I do these things. And hopefully this is of use to you. My next video is going to be doing the main screen of a photo booth, and I hope you like it. Thank you.